Good evening. We are at regular Piqua City Commission meeting, Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let us start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, will the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Hines.
Here.
Commissioner Grissom.
Here.
Commissioner Pearson. Here. Commissioner Foat.
Here.
Trustee Hartley.
Here.
Trustee Lang.
Here.
Trustee McMacken.
Make a resolution?
A motion.
I'll make a motion. Edward is on a vacation,
Can we get a second?
unavailable.
Second.
I'll second it.
That's there.
Okay, thank you.
That's there. Yeah. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. So this is a joint meeting with the Washington Township trustees and the Piqua City Commission. And she's called the roll.
Consent agenda tonight, there are 3 items. Approval of the minutes from the March 5th, 2019 joint meeting of the Washington Township trustees and the Piqua City Commission. Item number 2 is a resolution appointing Chris Lee to the Board of Trustees of the Forest Hill Union Cemetery for a remaining term expiring December 31st, 2022. And the third is a resolution appointing Thomas J. Lang to the Board of Trustees for the Forest Hill Cemetery for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2022.
All right.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Motion to adjourn.
I need a motion to adjourn the joint meeting.
I motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you. All right. So for the regular city commission meeting, we have a presentation by the Pittsburgher Movie Premiere Committee members. If the committee members will come forward. You guys did a wonderful job. We really appreciate everything that you did.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Last Full Measure Movie Premiere Committee, we would like to thank the residents of Piqua. First, thank you for the overwhelming attendance at the reception held at the food court in the Miami Valley Center Mall. Second, for attending and supporting the movie, which then opened in 617 theaters nationwide on January 24th. And it made $1.1 million over that first weekend. That equates to a per location of about $1,600. But because of the wonderful turnout at the Cinemark Miami Valley, our local cinema did approximately 8 times that amount over the same weekend, making the Piqua Cinemark the busiest in the Cinemark Corporation, and in all probability, also the busiest theater in the entire country for the movie over the weekend. But most of all, thank you for making our guests who were either involved in the production of the movie or actual mud soldiers, having been involved and fought in the battle on the fateful day of April 11th, 1966, and who traveled from as far away as LA and San Antonio, feel the spirit of our wonderful city. They were amazed at the honor paid to them and how welcome our citizens made them feel. In closing, we would like to read an email received from the Premiere Committee from producer Sidney Sherman and director and writer Todd Robinson. We want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the incredible events you planned for the premiere of The Last Full Measure in Piqua. all of our veterans and filmmaker guests repeatedly told us they could not believe how beautifully you were treating them and how special they felt. You exceeded our wildest expectations, and it is very clear that the spirit of William Pitzenbarger is in every lovely citizen of Piqua. It truly was a magical 2 days for all of us. Thank you again for the incredible memories that we will always cherish. America would be a better place if there were more Piquas. With deep gratitude, Sydney and Todd.
You know what? Thank you very much for that. And on my behalf and behalf of us up here, and Casey, you did a great job, and everybody that was on the committee, thank you. I mean, it was fantastic, from meeting the actors and the writer and the producers that were here, to the family members that showed up, and to the people that he saved. I thought that was amazing, talking to them. It was heartfelt, and you know, one of the first things that happened since I've been mayor, and it was a great thing to happen. So.
And thank you for giving the proclamation.
Oh, that was the easy part. You guys had the hard part. The organization was the hard part. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a presentation from the Piqua Parks Board. You the whole board?
End of night.
I know you want to come.
She can stay.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening. Like the slides come up, I guess. They come up. Pretty much this presentation is about the Piqua Pool, where it's going to go, or where can it go in the future. In the next slide, you will see the, what is it? Our daily emissions for the pool had probably stayed average probably the last, I want to say last 10 years. I can't remember when they were last changed. But if you look at I did research on the last cities like Sydney, Troy, Tip City, ours is cheaper than anybody else right now. As for daily emissions. As for fees wise, like for season passes, they're about the same, if anything, if not average. The next slide will show the 2020 budget for the pool, which is $272,000. $86,000 goes to labor and benefits. Operation and maintenance is about $185,000. And just to get the pool open this year is probably about $40,000 to $50,000 because the bottom of the pool will need to be repainted again. Yeah. Pool improvements that need to be done over time are going to probably be the whole pool replaced. Now, average, you're going to look at about $4 million. Well, he has about $3 million, but 3 to 4 probably. But the whole pool is, I mean, it's past its prime. It's 30 plus years old. There's no fixing it. So with that, we know, we've been talking a lot in the park board about where do we go forward with this pool. Me, like I said, pools, it's past its prime. It's something to do different. So I know some of us have said maybe we look into our options. Do we use splash pad? Do we do splash pad and pool? Or what do we do there? In this slide here, you'll see that the attendance, well, the daily average attendance, back in 2008, you see we had almost 20,000 attendance. Compared to last year, we had 8,000. Now, we could put a asterisk on that because we had a lot of rain in January, and plus the pool was closed on Friday because due to the shortage of lifeguards. Which the shortage of lifeguards is not a joke. It's everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I mean, you Google lifeguard shortages and you'll find it every city up and down the East Coast, Columbus. Look at Sydney. They struggled last year. They closed the pool 2 weeks early because of lifeguard shortages. So here's some slides of the conditions of around the pool. Like this is around the, I think where the bathroom area. You can see the concrete is just cracking, falling apart. That concrete's pretty much done. You see more damage there. Door right there in the corner is rusted out, so I mean, it needs replaced. You see the wall there, the stainless steel wall, it's starting to pull away from the pool deck itself, and then you see the pool paint itself, it's almost gone. So it's gotta be painted. See the big cracks in the pool, that's obviously not a good sign. That needs, I mean, obviously the pool needs to be replaced, period. And then that needs repainted and repaired as well. So, in other words, our recommendation is at some point in time, we're gonna have to sit down, commission and park board, and come up with a solution to what we do forward with the pool. Now, do we go to the new pool? Do we go splash pad in the pool? What do we do? Well, I had an idea, maybe we gotta not, it's not about what we want, it should be what the kids want. So why can't we do something like, do a thing with the schools and do a survey of what the kids want? Maybe we can do a video, put together, the kids can see what a splash pad does, what a splash pad at a pool can do, and go from there. Maybe we can see what the kids want. It's not about what we want. Because the kids are the future of the city. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation. We don't open this up for questions, do we?
No, it's a presentation.
It's a
I think.
presentation.
Yeah,
So during the open session, people can ask questions?
Yes.
Great. All right, so if anybody would like to make comments about the pool, please do that during the open session when we invite people up. And so next on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Yeah, two items on the consent agenda. One is the approval of the minutes from the January 21st, 2020 regular Piqua City Commission meeting. And the second is a resolution of appreciation for the public service of Frederick W. Langston as a city employee for over 33 years. Fred was unable to attend tonight, but he received his resolution at a previous ceremony that we had.
All right. Okay.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next is old business. Ordinance number 120, 1-20, third reading.
An ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Piqua, Ohio, to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating public infrastructure improvements to be made that will benefit such property, requiring annual service payments in lieu of taxes, authorizing the execution of a tax increment financing agreement, and establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund.
Mr. Schmeezing will provide the staff report.
Thank you. Commission will recall this item pertains to the extension of Scarborough Drive, which is in support of the IDC Spring expansion project that's currently underway and progressing very nicely. We have engaged a consulting firm to begin the preliminary design work for the roadway extension. Looking forward to being able to execute this project, and we're on track to be able to have that out for bid here as soon as the weather breaks and be able to put the roadway in a very timely manner. Happy to answer any questions. I know we've had a couple of discussions on this already.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Any questions from the citizens?
I have just a couple of questions about this. First of all, I just wanted to quickly, why is it that when people make presentations like Chris, that they don't, I mean, you guys are up here for a reason that establishes a line of authority. I'm not equal with you, and that's, why shouldn't those people
You
come
are
in?
equal with us, Mr. Jocko.
Okay, well,
You
I
are.
just would think when city people come up and propose things, that they ought to be up here, not down there. I think that's just a suggestion.
I'll take
But-
I'll take that as a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to talk about this just for a second. So
Sure.
the execution of a tax increment financing agreement and establishing a municipal public tax. Now, is that relatively new? Is that something we've not had before?
Right.
I don't think that the city's done one of these, I don't know of any time in the past, it's not a new thing, it's being used at a lot of different locations.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm stepping up to ask about this is that it is my opinion, and it might just be from hearsay, that we don't give enough, there's not enough tools in the toolbox for somebody like an economic development director to go out and solicit business and compete with other, Sydney and Troy, for example. And my question is that true? Do we have enough tools in the toolbox to equally compete? And if not, what can we do about that? And then just kind of finish that, and then I'll sit down. But Natalie, my daughter, was involved in a project, and I don't want to get into that project because it's none of my business, but you're familiar with it.
I was going to talk about it, but go ahead.
But so it's not my place to get involved in that. But I do want to make a comment about that in relationship to this, is that you, of all these commissioners, you're probably the only one who has a real sense of the competition between Piqua, Sydney, and Troy. And I'm assuming you have 30 or 40 years of that, and what it's like you can ask Randy. We got beat 54-6 when we were in 10th grade. In this little project, Troy and Sydney was all over trying to interfere to get that project out of Piqua's hands and into theirs. So the only thing I'm saying is that the competition between Piqua, Sydney, and Troy, that doesn't stop when you get out of high school. That continues into business. And these people are cutthroat. And I mean, I like people from Troy. I belonged to Troy Country Club for a long time. But they'll cut your throat over a nickel. So now you guys have witnessed that, and you should, of all people, should have an appreciation of that. So
Is that why we need all the tools we can for economic development?
I criticize Chris a lot, and I think if you filled his toolbox up, so to speak, you probably would get a lot more results from him.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, just to follow up on that question
Yes.
is there are, I think Mr. Smeezing talked at the last meeting, a number of the tools that we're utilizing, some of them that have not been utilized before, such as tax increment financing and PACE, as a couple more. But we have resources through the state that we're able to utilize, and we have tax incentives and things along those lines. So I think Mr. Smeezing is filling his own toolbox up
Yeah.
with some new stuff that we'll be able to utilize going forward, so.
Well, and I think, again, and we talked about this at the last meeting, the mock site visit with Jobs Ohio really showed where we are as we move forward with our economic development and the tools we already have in our toolbox, because their comment was, we're in a good place as we move forward.
Yeah, I think we have some terrific assets in our community in terms of the utility infrastructure and some of the opportunities that we have. But to Gary's point, there are some things that we can do in terms of leveraging some of the state legislation that is available to us to be able to take advantage of tax increment financing. You've heard me mention PACE financing before. There's a couple projects that are beginning to emerge now that more than likely will want to take advantage of that. So we'll be advancing the legislation to this body that is necessary for us to be able to put it in place so that they can utilize those resources. So just being out there and connecting with our resource partners and knowing what's available to us so that when the opportunities present themselves, we're in a good position to be able to reach out to, say, Jobs and Commerce and secure the grant dollars that they have available to support these kind of projects. So that's really the name of the game, and being prepared for when the opportunities present themselves.
Thank you. Any other comment from the public on this topic? If not, will the clerk call the roll?
Okay, Commissioner Hines?
What? I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1-20.
We do.
I'll second it. Okay, now would you like a roll?
Clerk can Call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Hines?
Aye.
Commissioner Foat?
Aye.
Commissioner Pearson? Aye. Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner Grissom?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next
Thank you.
on the agenda, under new business, ordinance number 5-20, first reading.
We would ask you to waive the readings on this one. This deals with non-union employees who would be getting the same type of increase. If we wait, they're going to have to wait another month and a half instead of getting those now.
A motion to waive the three reading rule.
I motion to waive the three reading rule. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion has been to waive the three reading rule.
Now I ask Ms. Bogan to share that information.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary. Good evening. As Gary said, Schedule A represents our full-time, non-bargaining unit city employees. We've adjusted the schedule by 2.5% to reflect the cost of living adjustment. And as Gary indicated, this is the same COLA that was offered to our bargaining unit employees that was approved here on the 21st of January.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Citizens? Anybody in the public have any questions? No?
I'll motion for the approval of ordinance number 5-20. Second.
Moved and seconded. Will the clerk call the roll on that?
Absolutely. Commissioner Grissom.
Aye.
Commissioner Hines.
Aye.
Mayor Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Pearson. Aye. Commissioner Foat.
Aye.
It passes. All right, next on the agenda is resolution number R-21-20.
A resolution approving the purchase of liability insurance for Piqua's combustion turbines.
Ms. Holtzapfel.
Thank you. Maverma, our insurance carrier, is unable to cover certain specialty areas under our general liability policy. Chubb has provided this excess coverage for the electric utilities combustion turbines in the past, and the coverage before you is for the calendar year 2020. As several of you may recall, under this coverage a few years ago, the city was reimbursed over $1 million towards repairs to damages within those turbines. So it is definitely beneficial to both the city and the utility.
All right. Commissioners, any questions? Has this saved us money in the past?
Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Well, the turbines were significantly damaged a few years ago under this policy, and over $1 million of that repair cost was reimbursed back to the city under this type of plan.
I also know that Ed Krieger, the power department, talks about how much the turbines actually save us as part of our power supply.
Exactly.
So, and I think he's used up to $1 million
Or more.
or more, yeah.
And how old are those? They're, so, from the 70s?
The turbines are older.
Yeah, so having coverage.
But we've had to have
Makes
them
sense,
rebuild and everything. It's necessary that we rebuild them so we would have the coverage and so forth.
Understood. Mr. Jones?
Joe Drapp.
Yes, sir.
1366 Park Avenue, and I sit on the Energy Board. Those are very old turbines, I believe, and they were bought used. But combined, they're capable of producing about, let's say we came off the grid for one reason or another, the grid failed. We could supply just from those two units, would be expensive power, but it's possible we could meet about half of our power needs through running those things. And as Cindy said, we had a couple blades come off some of the turbine fans, and as a consequence, it did unbelievable damage. They run at high RPM, and so those are really essential items going forward, and it also helps in our credit rating, which our electric department has an excellent credit rating with AMP Ohio, which is where all our alternative power comes from outside of those units. So I would strongly suggest that we spend the money. And the insurance is not cheap, I'm sure. Is that right?
It's about $93,500 for this next year, yes.
But when we had our last damage, it was well in excess of $1 million. So that's pretty cheap.
Yeah,
Pretty cheap. Thank you.
in trade. Go ahead, sir, public.
I'm Bill Jock with 607 North Sunset
Thank you,
Drive.
sir.
I think if you guys would go back over the years and add up how much money we've spent on those freaking turbines, it's probably in the millions. I mean, I was renting generators to people back in the 70s when they were down, And, I have a vivid picture of Mayor Sam Jackson up on the top of one at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get it going. My question is this: why do we need them?
They're backups, sounds like, but
Why do we even need to be on that? If can we get on some? There's a guy, Terry Wright. I don't, I'm not, but he comments a lot on social media about our power grid and things of that sort. And he has been recently talking about us being on marketing ourselves as a smart city. And he says that if we were to market ourselves as a smart city, then some of the higher tech stuff that might come into town, and that stuff is all really interrelated with our electrical system and being on a larger grid. So my question is it possible to get rid of those turbines? I mean, has anybody ever done a study that would say, hey, gee, if there's so much power out there that we can buy, why do we need to be generating our own power? That's my question.
Well, two things with that. One is that by having the turbines, we're able to produce emergency energy when we need it. Second is that we get credit off what energy that we purchase is over $1 million a year. So that's over $1 million of energy we don't have to purchase, which saves the city a tremendous amount of money. So for two really good reasons, I think we need to keep them going as long as possible.
Yeah, it's my understanding, and I'm going to interject a little bit, that they're not operated all the time. They tend to come on in peak periods
Just
of
when
time,
we're
and
required
that's
to,
when
yeah.
they're expensive to operate, and they sell the power back to AMP Ohio, it's my understanding. And that credits us, and we actually buy power from AMP Ohio at a cheaper rate. Is that right, Joe?
yeah, you aren't. Yeah, you
You're gonna have to sit closer.
Yeah, sit closer. Here, there you go.
That's part of the bill we receive for power we purchase every month is extremely complex. Is that correct? And so we do get credit. It reduces our power consumption bill for the month. And so we may only a handful of times be required by AMP to fire those units up because they burn fuel oil, and they burn a lot of fuel oil. So they're not efficient and they're old. We wouldn't want to switch to natural gas because although that's cheaper than fuel oil, we would have to go through a recertification unit on both units. And I can just about guarantee you that those 1964 units, although we put money in, a lot of money in them and kept them running, would not be up to today's environmental rules. So we would likely be without those units. So we consider that Troy, if they lost their DP&L feed, would have no sources of power.
We do.
If we lost our DP&L feed, we could at least run those turbines. And we have the solar field out there too, which if the grid went down, we could also produce some additional power. Not a lot, less than 4 watts, but every watt counts if you're trying to keep your house warm or whatever. So as to Bill's point, I think it would be an extensive, expensive study for us to undertake, and I don't think we have enough personnel to do it. I think we have the smarts in Cindy, but that would take some complex calculations to determine if just phasing those units out might be in our best interest. And that time will come. They don't have an indefinite life, so if we were faced with $1 million of repairs that insurance didn't cover, we probably would not put that into those units at this time, or maybe even going forward. So we have an outstanding electrical department here, and it's known nationally as how to run a small city public utility. I am definitely a salesman for that, and the city as a whole. So
And we could sell the city as a
Bill,
smart
you got
city
any other
too.
questions?
No.
Okay.
But he's got.
I'm not trying to be a horse's, you know what, but I'm quite the novice. However, in 20 years, I've learned a little bit. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. But there's something to be said about what Bill said about selling us ourselves about being a smart city. I mean, letting people know that we've got fiber and that we've got enough power and we've got these excesses. We get that out there and let people know. Chris said it, Bill said it. You guys are all saying the same thing. Just need to say it to everybody.
Mayor Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
I know that I'm trying to look through all my notes from Ed with, around utilities, but I know one of the things that we talk about is how our diverse portfolio, which I think is what you're speaking to
Yep.
as well, is so helpful for us that we can pull the power from
Yeah.
so many different places. And we are unique in this area to have such a diverse portfolio to be able to do that. And the fact that, you know, very rarely does our power go out, and we don't run into the issues that some of our neighbors do that have DP&L when it goes out, that it takes a while for them to have it turned back on. So I think that is something that we need to remember. One of the main advantages of having our own system.
Totally agree with you, 100%. So, all right. Yeah, come on up, sure.
Joey might be the only one who can answer this question. Maybe one of you guys
Okay,
can, I don't know.
Edwin's here, I'm sure.
How often what's the inspection process of inspecting these turbines to see how much the life has left in them?
Gary, do you know?
Well, they use consultants to, look at that. I don't know off the top of my head, I can't tell you, but they do determine whether it's worthwhile of rebuilding them or whatever we need to do. So
Would they, I guess, my main question is would they recommend just not repairing them ever again if it came to that, or is
Yes.
there just kind of, okay,
Yeah, if
so
it
they,
got to a point that it's not worthwhile.
Okay.
It would, but depending on what the, as was mentioned, the damages, if it's covered by insurance and so forth, it's probably worth fixing it. If it's something that's not, I'm sure that those companies that help us keep those in order would either make a recommendation, you don't need to fix it or
right.
anymore. So
It's just troubling to hear that they're over 50 some odd years old.
Yeah.
Could we still use them and not purchase the insurance when it came down to it?
Well,
Yes. Okay, so if it
Look-
comes to a
look what we
point,
say.
if it comes to a point then where, they say, don't even bother fixing it, we can continue to use it until it just completely dies.
But keep in mind, you stop using those turbines, then your energy costs go up by over $1 million.
Right, sure.
$1 million credit.
Yeah.
Well, my whole concern is are we going to insure a piece of equipment? Hey, Joe, are we going to keep insuring a piece of equipment that is just going to continue to break down? And are we insuring it just for repair purposes? Or, you understand what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a,
I hear you.
Well, when we rebuilt the turbine with $1 million in insurance money, when we got that turbine back, it was rated higher than when we sent it down there. So they actually, new methodology and everything, they were able to rebuild it, so it was better than when it came to us originally. Plus, on both units, on the unit that sits out by the interstate, by Miami Industries, we just recently, in the last couple of years, put a brand-new starting engine on this, because it takes a big diesel engine to get the turbine to just turn. Then it gets it going fast enough that the turbine will take over by itself. The engine disengages and slows down and dies off. But those engines, both those engines, at both of them, one down here we just recently had rebuilt. And so for as far as we can tell now, they're good to go for an indeterminate amount of time. But there's definitely something to be said about, as time goes on, reconsidering spending that amount of money on insurance. If we develop alternative sources, which we have considered doing, which is putting gas-fired units inside our old power plant. which is one of the reasons we have not taken that plant down. We may actually put brand-new natural gas units to replace those. So that's where we sit. We're just in good shape. And they run those units at least once a month. They fire them up and they check everything. And-
Regular maintenance is done.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
regular, always. So that never goes undone because the guys in the system recognize the value that those units have to us. So,
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's actually.
No,
that's
that's
exactly
a
what I
good
wanted to know.
explanation.
sorry about that
No,
one, but
Thank you very much. And for further, we could always have Ed come and give us additional information. Anything else on this topic?
They're chicken. I'm Marcia Garrett. I reside at 318 Westview Drive here in Piqua. I would like to address the city commissioners, Mayor Lee and Mr. Huff, regarding the pool situation.
Well, we're not to the open.
We're not doing that?
No, we're still on
I just wanted to give you my
We're still, I want your
Okay,
opinion.
I'm sorry.
Trust me.
I-
But we're
too
still on
quick.
this resolution.
See, I'm
for the-
anxious.
And we haven't, you come right back here and after one more resolution, then we're gonna have a public comment, okay? All right. If there's nothing else on the resolution, R 21-20,
I move that we adopt resolution number R21-20.
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Next on the agenda is resolution number R-22-20.
A resolution approving the purchase of excess liability insurance.
Ms. Holtep.
Thank you. Once again, Maverma is unable to cover certain special areas and other utilities. Associated Electric and Gas Insurance Service, Aegis, has provided the excess coverage for the city's dams and areas of water, wastewater, and the electric utilities for several years. This coverage, once again, would cover for calendar year 2020 at a cost of approximately $81,053.
Commissioners, any comments?
I'd have one question. I knew there was talks with removal of dams. Would that, has there been any update on that to know if this insurance would apply towards those?
I'm sorry, would apply towards,
It says coverage for dams. I know we have the one out by electrical.
well, we actually, the whole levy, we have three, plus the hydraulic system, are all covered under the Department of Natural Resources. So we're studying those dams as required by the Department of Natural Resources. We haven't finished up that full report yet.
Okay.
In the meantime, we have to maintain insurance in case you have insurance for those accidents. If a levee would breach, something would happen, and all kind of damages and so forth as a result of that. So that's important that we keep the insurance as we look at what needs to be done with the dams and so forth in the future. Just to kind of where we're talking about that, I know there's been questions, and some of you all asked me questions about the clearing of some of the trees and brush off all the levees, and that was a requirement of the Department of Natural Resources. We had been in discussion with them for quite some time. We weren't in favor of it, but it boils down to they issued the fact that we had to remove a lot of that so they could do seepage inspections. So we really didn't get much choice on it. You might say, well, why don't we do it? Why didn't we, just deny doing it? Well, they come in and take it over, and they do whatever's necessary at that point and more. So you really have to comply with the regulations.
And they're gonna shore that up and make it look nice though, right?
Oh, yes, it'll look very nice when it's all finished. It's been, we had
Weather.
hoped to get in there immediately, but it's been so warm that the ground is not frozen, and so we really have to wait till either it freezes or it warms up and dries up or something.
I have had a
So-
lot of comments and emails about that.
But yes, it will be cleaned up, and it'll look kind of like with the area behind French Park, where you see that where the trees are. Kind of look
Sculpted
like
and
that, so.
that looks nice.
Would this insurance cover things like spillage into our waterways, or what
Well,
items?
depending
or
on,
what-
let's say we have breaches of the levees, if they break and cause downstream damage, then that's what this insurance covers us for. So
Okay.
hopefully, you know, we don't anticipate that happen, but you never know.
Any comments from the citizens? I'll take a motion.
Put a motion to adopt resolution number R-22-20.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now's the time for public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the city commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions to be addressed to the city manager's office. Marcia. Sorry. I couldn't help.
Hi, I'm Marcia Garrett, and I live
Address?
at 318 Westview Drive here in Piqua.
Okay.
I'd like to address the commissioners,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Lee and Mr. Huff, regarding the pool situation. We saw the presentation
Yes.
this evening by the park board, and in the pictures, we saw all the problems and repairs, costly repairs,
Yeah.
that's going to need to be done in order to get the pool and the pool area up to par. On that note, I would like the commissioners of the city to consider at least maybe fixing the necessary repairs needed to at least be able to open up the pool again this summer, this season.
Isn't that budgeted
Yes.
Okay.
for this year? But long-term?
Yeah, I understand that. At the end of the season last year, there were rumors floating around in the pool community that the city had already decided that they were going to, I know it's just rumor, close the pool permanently and replace it with possibly a splash pad sort of deal. When we got word of these rumors, a few of us that attend the pool regularly and have for many years decided to draw up a petition and to keep the pool. And we did.
How many signatures did you get?
I'm sorry?
How many signatures did you get?
We got over 100 signatures.
That's awesome.
In less than a week's time, because we
Great.
were at the end of the season there. We did meet with Mr. Huff and Mr. Burkhart to discuss these rumors, and at that time, we did present Mr. Huff with our petition, which he still has in
You
his
still have it,
possession.
yeah.
So, and I feel that many of the citizens that did sign the petition that want a pool here in Piqua would be willing to help the city in any way we could to make this happen.
All right. So some of the options are obviously we raise the funds privately, right? And then people could spearhead a committee to do that. Another option is that we put a levy out there, you know? I mean, and that's something that, you know, we'll have to sit down and talk about. And one of the things I was going to propose tonight is that we have some sort of work session, because one of my goals is to get this moving now so that when next year at this time, we'll have a plan of action, or we'll at least know what we can, where we're going with it.
Great.
So.
Good, sounds great. Thank you so much for your
No, I
time.
appreciate you coming forward and saying something. Sir?
My name is James Verhotes,
Yes, sir.
1222 Nicklin Avenue, longtime resident of Piqua.
Yes, ma'am.
I also, like Marcia, support our pool. Just yesterday, on a warm day, one of my granddaughters, 5 years old, said, "Grandpa, can we go to the pool today?" And I'd bring her today, but she's watching SpongeBob right now, so it conflicts with that. But that's how important it is. I mean, I go back to the days of the Hollow.
Oh, yeah.
That created a lot of community. Just, you remember.
I do.
Chris.
I do.
Oh, my gosh.
I remember a lot of.
Wonderful. And I do see that we are avid swimmers. 4 of our grandkids have learned to swim up there. Wonderful staff. It's just a sense of community. And I think our kids need that. They really do. And amenities in our town, that would be such a great thing. I mean, Troy has a good pool. Tip City, it brings people together. I know they're not always profitable, but that sense of community is important.
It is.
And when a little 5-year-old says, "I want to go up to the pool."
Sure.
And so I'll be brief, but I think it's
No, you're
very
fine.
important that we do consider keeping our pool going. There are a lot of people that are interested that would be, willing to help. I don't think I'd make a good lifeguard, but there's a lot of us.
You would enjoy it though, right? You would
Well,
swim.
yes, and that's what's important. And I know Marcia, I've met her up there many a times, and we've all talked and said, hey, we can do this. I know Piqua can do it. We're a great community. My wife's from Troy. She can attest to that. She loves Piqua too. And we just ask that you guys reconsider, all this. We know we're going to keep it open this year, but boy, wouldn't it be great? Splash pad, pool, the whole thing up there, the ballparks, everything. And because our kids are our future. And we want them to stay in Piqua, not grow up, move away, and visit.
Agree.
We'd like them to stay. So thank you for your time.
No problem.
I
Thank you
do
for coming
appreciate it.
forward. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mayor Lee, I think it seems like there's some confusion maybe out in the public that we've already made a decision.
there's no
And I want
decision.
people to know, we have not made a decision.
Nope.
There has been, this was just a presentation to us tonight, but there's not a decision that's
There's
been
no
made.
decision. That's why I said I would like to have a work study, invite the public with all of us so we can sit down and get some ideas. We want to hear from the public. And when I say public, come out and be part of it. I know you guys came out, and I think that's great. And anybody else with any comment on this is welcome to say something. But we want to figure this out and do what's good for our community. And we don't want to see another hollow situation. I agree. So, yes, sir. Yes. You?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Leah, 406 West High Street. Since we're on the subject of the pool, I know we spoke a little bit after the last meeting about this. Me personally, all for it. I think we should keep it. I've swam since I was 5. I've competed at that particular pool. I know how important it is to anybody who either just wants to get exercise, have fun, whatever your reason for going. My question is, I know, and forgive me because I missed the presentation, so if this has already been covered, I apologize. I know part of the concern of what I've been hearing from the people who run it is that they can't keep people there to work, and I know part of that is
That's a nationwide thing, like you said.
getting people certified and the amount of money it costs to do that and everything like that. Are they in a position, are we able to help them be in a position to reimburse
For training?
for training and certification, or is there other options that we could go through where maybe certification is free in some places and we can send them there, and that might help alleviate some of the,
Partner with the YMCA? who's
pair up
certified.
with the YMCA or I don't know, people who are certified trainers willing to volunteer their time, donate their time in turn for classes. I mean, have we looked into any of those options?
Off the top of my head, I know they go through a number of processes to try to get, and I'd have to get you an answer on that. And I know that we've tried to work with the Y.
Okay.
I think they've been helpful before, calling different places. I know Mr. Brookard has called different pool organization, or actually lifeguard organizations, trying to find extra guards and so forth. So it continues to be a challenge for us, but we're going to try to do our best to come up with the guards again this year.
Okay. Yeah. And if they can't, I'm trying to think how to word this. Okay. If they can't keep somebody permanently, is allowing people to volunteer their time who maybe are certified that don't have to worry about that cost for certification as much?
You have to be certified.
No, I mean, people who are certified, but if they, instead of being consistently on the payroll, can they say, if I wanted to do it, if I got certified, said, hey, I'll volunteer my times on the weekends, will that help out? Don't necessarily have to pay me as much as you normally would other people.
Well, I
is that an option?
if they were fully qualified and willing to work, that we'd probably utilize them if they didn't want to get paid.
Okay, I'm just saying, I didn't know if volunteering your time to be a lifeguard without getting paid would be an option, or if
Get
people
free
were
sun,
willing
too,
to go
right?
that far. Yeah, free sun and everything. So, all right.
Hey, this was the presentation. I want you to have this.
Oh, okay.
Gary, can I add something to her question
Yes.
in response?
Yes.
So we are diligently working with the YMCA. We've even reached out to Edison to see if they can help us with the certification program. Something else that we utilized last year, we have a classification series for the lifeguard. Obviously, a lot of them are kids, maybe college students, but they start at minimum wage as lifeguard A. If they're returning lifeguards, they come back the next year as B, a bit higher, and then step C. One of the things that we did last year to entice them to come was if they were already certified, or if they got certified at the beginning of the season, we immediately advanced them to step C to try to give them more money and incentivize them to stay. But as you've all pointed out, we're also competing with Sydney, Troy, Tip. We're all struggling for lifeguards. And Marcia, to your point, we also need pool managers this year. So if you all know folks in the community who are responsible, trained adults, we also need supervision for the pool. So those personnel factors are big variables in this. So the community support behind those recruitment efforts is needed too for those of you that are invested in it. Pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bogan.
I will add that my son is of the age of some of the lifeguards. Some of his friends are lifeguards at the pool and were last summer and are also lifeguards at the other two pools as well, with Tecumseh Woods in the Country Club or the Y. I mean, it's amazing how they pass them back and forth. And I know that for many of them, one of the struggles is for high school students, if the weather is below 70 degrees, they don't work.
Yep.
And so it's a struggle if they're not sitting on that lifeguard stand and making the money that they don't get paid. And so I know for some of my son's friends, that's been a struggle for them. So I'm just sharing that because this was my
That's what makes
summertime
it
job
difficult.
in high school and college. I loved it. And I agree, we don't need to close our pool, but we've got to figure out some way to keep it going.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the financial piece is the hard piece of
Yep.
it, so.
70 degrees? Okay. Sorry, when I used to have swim practice, as long as it was 63, we still practice, so.
I think it's
fine.
70 is
But,
what,
okay,
yeah.
that
Anything
answers my
else?
question. No.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
On the swimming pool,
Bill
those of us.
Jocwa, right?
Bill Jocwa, 607 North Sunset
Thank
Drive.
you,
For those of us who run social site medias, we get a lot of input on, if you want something hot, say something about the pool. And so I can pretty much assure you, when you look at the drop in percentage of people going to our pools.
You see it.
Those people are still swimming, they're just not coming here.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest that you do is have a town hall and start getting people up here.
Yep.
And, instead of canceling the meeting and not showing up, substitute a town hall and get people up here to get input on why are you going somewhere else, or whatever the problems are.
I think I just said that I wanted to have that, but that's okay.
And for those of you who aren't my age, I don't know how many of you people realize how hard it was to get a swimming pool, but it was very difficult prior to, I think, 1987. And we went for a long time without a public pool, and it was a big deal when we did get a pool. But that's not really what I came up here for.
That's all right. You go ahead. What'd you come up
So
for?
I've got probably a couple more minutes.
You do.
So
You've got
I
time.
want to pick on you for a little bit here.
You go
so-
right ahead.
Okay, so then I'm in my endeavor that I have been on a 7-year endeavor to switch Piqua from a charter to a statutory. I just didn't start this. I came up here
No.
7 years ago when Joe Wilson was a commissioner and Gary had only been here a year or so. So I'm going to, first of all, I'd like to say that if we did switch to a statutory, that I would hope that Gary would be the safety director. And he's already said that he wouldn't do that, but he would certainly be one of the best, and I would highly encourage him to do that. But that's another story. So what I'm up here tonight to do is to tell you that I planned this campaign out. I don't know how successful it will be. We will see. But I'm to the point where I've made my case to what is wrong with Piqua. And so now I'm going to hit the middle of start giving reasons of why we should switch to a statutory and be a little more specific. So I'm going to start with you. So I did know today that I did see on somewhere where you met with Mike DeWine. You were on the stage with Mike DeWine. And so, in our charter system, we're not political at all. And so in government, you have two things to government. You have the administrative side, which is Gary is the administrative side, and you guys being elected representatives, you are the political side. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all my experience, but I've raised millions of dollars over the years for candidates. I finished my fundraising career working for the Kennedy family in Massachusetts. I raised a lot of money. I know the Kennedy family. I spent a lot of time in Massachusetts with them. So I know about fundraising. I know about what I'm telling you is I know a lot about it. So the reason I'm talking to you is that you know, when you let these things slide, the political side of it is, have you sent Mike DeWine a letter yet saying, Mike, it was nice meeting you? And
No, he asked me what we could do, and I was going to express what he could do for Piqua, and I told him exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
A politician like Mike, I've done events for him. And what I would do every time he won an election, I'd send him flowers just to make sure he remembered who I was. And I've never asked him for a favor, never had to. I think he would remember me. I know he would remember you. So, you know, my
I was a
point
lot bigger
is,
than him up on that stage, but go ahead.
so he will remember you, especially if you were to send him a letter and explain, you know, it was great. And then, listen, you know, Mr. DeWine, Governor DeWine, is, you know, we're trying to develop Piqua as a smart city or economic development. I just, you know, what the political side of this, what is available at the state and federal level is incredible. So I think that's a problem with our charter system, that we don't really approach the political side of it as much. And
Oh,
so-
but he approached us,
Oh,
so,
I-
and I will tell that when it comes my turn to talk, but, because I don't want to take up your time, but, and I
I
gave him
promise you,
equal.
if Gary had been out there, he wouldn't have spent a second with him. That's just how those guys are. That they get that he can't be political. He gets you can. So anyhow, so now I want to pick on Mr. Patrizio just for a moment. And so I want to go to the fact that we, a law director, that you know, we pick one, or you guys choose whoever you want. And in a statutory system, we would elect one. And the reason that is important is because in Piqua, our county is run by what they call them the Troy Mafia. And most of the attorneys know what that is. There's a small group of Republicans who run this county, and they appoint the judges and and they decide who's in the political offices. Having been a candidate from past years, I ran the same people, same couple generations later, are still running this county. And so what happens, they throw us a bone once in a while, and we get to have a judge, or they throw us a bone once in a while, and we get some other insignificant job. Piqua used to be a power center. Ted Gray was the Senate pro tem here at one time, and Piqua was very. At the same time, Congressman McCullough was here.
Yeah.
We were a power center in politics, and these things are important. So somebody like a Patrizio that, you know, aspires to higher office, it's very hard to launch that from here.
Are you assuming he aspires to higher office?
Well, he's run several times. I'm assuming that if somebody offered him a judgeship, he would jump on it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Look, ask him.
know.
He's sitting right there. But it doesn't make any difference. It just, with the system that we have, it's very difficult for any of you to, you know, I don't know, would any of you like to be a county commissioner or maybe a state representative? Our charter government is not a launching pad for that. And
That's the point.
And it costs us a lot of money over the years, and it costs us a lot of political power. So, thanks.
Thanks for making your point. I appreciate your time. Anybody else? Come forward, Mr. Roman.
Since you said my name, 406 West High.
Yeah, there you go.
Two things here. First thing, number one, I think it's only fair that if we decide to have a work session for a pool, we should also have a work session for Mr. Jacqua's legislation. I think both are important to discuss the situation. I think 5 minutes of him coming up here and talking about it isn't enough. So at least giving him some type of...
That's his format. That's not something the city...
Sure.
That's not something the city is involved with, though.
No, but it would affect the city in whole, as a general, whole. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that. Going back to the pool, unlike my future wife, I don't swim. I have eczema, and I don't have kids, so I've got no reason to want a pool. And even when I did swim, I always felt like Godzilla in a pool full of small townsfolk, so I just never really liked it. So
there's a butt in there somewhere, right?
Absolutely. But with that being said, I lived in New Bremen for 2 years, and the city of New Bremen is basically owned by the Crown Equipment Company. And they take very, very certain specifications when it comes to upkeeping the town for the community strength. And they make sure that all community assets, including a pool, are upkept properly, because they know that the first thing that anybody that's gonna come to that town, even though it's a village, anybody that comes to that village is gonna do is they're gonna look at the community and decide if they would like to do business with Crown. And they do a very good job of doing it too, very well upkept. I just didn't like it because it was way too out in the sticks for me. But my point is that it is important to have these things because it does build a community, as people who came up here and said it is for the kids, but at the same time, businesses look to see the strength of the community and how well it's going to be stabilized and how well things like a pool, even though it might seem insignificant to some, it's very significant to companies looking here to come here for industry, to see how the community is built. And along with what Mr. Jacques said about the competition between Troy, Sydney, and Piqua, I was born in Piqua, but I grew up in Troy. And that rivalry is very real even outside of high school. So if somebody comes and looks at what we have and we decide, now we'll just take a splash pad. And then they go and look at what Sydney has and what Troy has. If that's the tipping point, as minuscule as it might sound, it could be. It could be. And on my page, I do a lot of straw polls, and one of them was the pool. And it was about 50-50. I think it was like 54% to 40-something percent. For or against, for was the winning side. So I think the community as a whole is split on this issue, but I think you would have enough support to pull off what would need to be pulled off to get a new one. And again, like I said at the beginning of what I started saying this, I don't swim, so I have no reason to be for it, but I know it's important to the community building, and that's the goal. So I would be for any, whether it's fundraising, a levy, it doesn't matter what it is. It's very important to the overall future for this town, even if some people don't see it. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Hey, appreciate your time. Thank you for your opinion as well.
Joe Drapp, 1366 Park Avenue. You get to be my age. You never know, might be the last time you ever see me. So, couple bookkeeping or bookkeeping issues of sorts here. We did, in fact, I trust, have a quorum for the township trustees tonight.
Yes.
Is there only 3 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure about that, but I thought maybe make note of that for public record that we did indeed have a quorum for the consent agenda. The second thing was, from time to time, I know it's necessary to waive the 3 reading rule. Came about tonight.
Yes.
And we've had numerous instances over the past where developers, or we had this, that, or there was someone else's time schedule, we just had to get it done. It comes up with insurance issues from time to time, and so that in my entire time coming to these meetings, I've never once known of that waiving the 3 reading rule to ever be abused. It's usually we got to do it quick, so I'm all for that. And as far as the pool, I think we should have a pool too. But my main concern is if we don't, I don't know how many kids a day go to that pool, but if we don't have that pool, those kids will be out on the street.
Doing what?
Exactly. Even if it means that if you work at the pool, you do some babysitting, but I think that still is better than kids having no one looking out for what they're doing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I myself don't need the sun, but I sure wouldn't mind it. Let's put it that way. So, anybody else?
Joe Wilson, 211 West Green.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. I want to start out by thanking you for fixing the gazebo. My granddaughter and I, play hide and seek there.
Yep.
And it's very nice and good shape, so I appreciate that got done last year. Second comment is, can we get the meetings live again on TV like we had 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was.
What's the process on
I think
that?
it would be nice to have them live instead of just taped.
The schools would have to buy a very expensive piece of equipment to make that happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's kind of their call on them.
okay. Well, I just, it's nice when they were live. The last thing, we haven't had anyone talk about being in favor of being a charter city. What are some possible advantages or disadvantages? And I think retaining a charter city is, in my opinion, the way to go. If we have a system like Troy has, we would have partisan politics. We would be running under a political party. I don't think it really matters what your party is if you're on the city commission. It just, people will vote for someone who's Republican or Democrat regardless of what they say. And we've had past commissioners who have been independents and various things that may have interfered with the vote. So I like not having a political party with any candidate running for city commission. I think it kind of gets in the way. And especially with the way all the parties are going nowadays, it's nice not being involved with that, I think, a little bit, especially on the local level. Other thing is, if we go to 9 commissioners, we're going to have unequal representation within the city. Right now, we have 5 representatives of equally balanced populations, so everyone represents 20% of the city. If we go to 9 commissioners.
What if we went to 7? We just had a couple at-large people.
You would still have an imbalance because if you look at the parts of the city, for example, Ward 5 typically has a higher turnout rate than any other ward. So you would expect Ward 5 to have a higher percentage on the commission based on past voting, right? It kind of makes sense. So
Sure.
I don't like having an imbalanced representation on the commission. Right now, we're perfectly balanced. A few years ago, we even balanced the population of the wards to keep that balance population-wise. You can't control who votes, but you can control your base within each ward. So I think we would lose some of that equal representation by going to a different method, and I'm a little worried about that.
So is it more of a matter of, because you said something about the fifth ward coming, more people voting in the 5th ward, is it more a matter of getting people in those other wards to come out more and vote, or would you still have that problem under a statutory system, or is it just unique to
I think
charter?
there's more of a chance to have an unbalanced representation within the city when you don't have an equal representation like we have now.
Sure.
And that could affect where projects go. It may not affect anything, I don't know, but I like the idea of having 5 equally represented people up here representing 5 equally represented population zones. I think it makes more sense. Would you want, 3 or 4 people from the same general neighborhood on a commission possibly influencing things a different way? I don't know, but this way it cannot happen the way we have where we are today, and I think that's important. Before we go into other things that we may or may not happen, and there's a lot of opinions that may or may not be true, but the fact of the matter is we would have unequal representation if we go to a method that is being talked about. So just thought I'd throw that out there, and I don't need any answers from anybody, but just the way I'm looking at it. So
From a legal standpoint, you can amend the charter to add more commissioners. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, I don't know if Joe was on the same charter committee I was on. We had
Yeah, I was.
probably it seemed like days conversation about did we want to make 3,
Right.
Divide the city up a bit differently and have at-large. And really, the commissioners and the people involved said, no, we like the fact that each ward has equal representation. And
Right.
I think we were the commission or committee that had it so they redistricted every 10 years to make it so it was equal.
Right.
And particularly, some commissioners were adamant that they felt like if we went to an at-large system, their end of the town would not be represented.
Yeah, and it could very well happen. And a lot of the changes that are being proposed for the different types of cities can be done within the charter framework, whether it's voting for mayor from the commission or from the voting booth. That was recently changed, so it could remain the same or be changed back. So that's not an issue at all, whether it's charter or not. So there's a lot of changes within the charter that we could do within, if we want to. So,
Thank you for your time.
thanks.
I appreciate your comments.
We should have a debate, have it so, have a town hall so we.
Good.
The fact of the matter is, four of you up there are up there. You ran unopposed. What kind of a democracy, just talking about equal representation? My goodness, we had one guy decide who the whole mayor was. We had one guy in the whole city of Piqua, you two, you, and Chris, and then this guy right here. One guy decided who the mayor was.
You made your point, and, if you want to have a town hall with people present, you're welcome to get with the YWCA. Maybe they would feature something, we can put it on YouTube or something. I have a pro and con. I mean, that's not a bad idea, but I don't see this as a city issue at this point. I mean, for us to advocate or to go against, and I'm not doing either at this point. So, I'm not against it, I'm not for it. So, it's your point to prove, is all I'm saying. All right, so, commissioners, let's, comments. Start with Casey.
Just a couple things. Congratulations to Fred Langston for, was it 33 years of employment here in the city of Piqua. We've had two of our older folks that have been here for a while retire, so I'm wishing both of them just well wishes as they enter into those years of retirement. Also, just thank you for the citizens that came forward about the pool. I also am concerned about that. It comes down to money, and that's kind of where we are with that, but I think if we can get citizens around this, and this is a very giving city. We have done things like this before, but to get a citizen committee around it, to kind of get something out there to look for what solutions can be, that would be great, because I would hate to think that we are the only city north and south of us that doesn't have a pool. So thank you for your interest and your energy around that. That's all I have.
Thank you.
So this past week, I've seen a couple interesting events. And hearing tonight, too, a lot of people talk about community. So it's something I've actually been reflecting on quite a bit. And so one of the events was I got the pleasure of sending off Troops 1487, also known as the Iron Camels, which I thought was a pretty cool name. I hope I'm not taking any thunder from somebody.
You're not taking any thunder. Keep going.
So there was General Johnson that delivered a speech, and it was actually pretty moving.
Wow.
And he actually talked with his troops about the sense of community as well. So really I was trying to reflect on that, because Natalie's not here tonight, but she pulled a sense of community together all within like a week's time frame. It was amazing.
Amazing.
And so I looked up the definition of what community actually was. And I was kind of surprised, because it just says it's a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. I was kind of shocked, because I thought a sense of community kind of meant more than that. Mm-hmm. So what I did kind of feel and reflect on was I kind of felt that past week we were more of kind of a family.
Oh,
It was kind of interesting, because when the general talked about that troop and being a community, they weren't just from or working in the same location. I felt they more had a family bond with them. Anytime you have somebody in the military, you hear a lot about that, them being brothers and working together and sisters. So as working as a family and working in the same area and also being as a community, I came across this quote that said, without a sense of caring, there can be no sense of community. And I know a family cares. And with Natalie last week trying to pull everybody together, people didn't have to have a reason to help. People just came and helped. And that's something that family does. And it was pretty interesting to see, and seeing that support and growth and having that sense of caring. So I know us up here on the commission, we truly care. The city workers, after going through the government academy, it was amazing, some of the support that they will give this city. They'll give it their all. They truly care. I know the people in this room care. You come to every commission meeting, I see familiar faces. And I think what I wanted to challenge people is, because you hear a lot of negative comments in the sense of people not feeling, even though they lived in Piqua, they've grown in Piqua, they don't feel a sense of pride in Piqua. So my challenge is not to just push those people away, but kind of embrace them, help bring them in, and help them try to get more involved. because we live in a fantastic and wonderful city, and I've just seen how much people truly care, and I think that's what can make a difference. So really, that's just kind of the reflection I've had this past week, seeing some really good things happen in the city. So.
Thank you. Very good. I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Nothing from me.
Nothing from you. Thomas.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Eddie, thank you for your presentation on the pool tonight. I think it's good to get those numbers out there for the public to see those numbers, and also, want to bring the students on board out of our local school systems. I think that's important. Students, for me, they kind of drive what parents do. So when you start impacting the kids down on that level, they can help change that atmosphere of the community. Last commission meeting, I talked about, getting out, being involved with city boards and the committees that we have. As of February 4th, 2020, we got the following openings. The Civil Service, we got 3 openings. Energy Board, we have 1 opening. Housing Council, we have 2 openings. Income Tax Board of Review, we have 2 openings. Park Board, we have 4, and the Tree Committee, we have 1. So, I still make that encouragement for the citizens of Piqua. Get out, become involved with our boards and community and our committees, because, we can make an impact there as well. This past weekend, Commissioner Grissom was talking about the send-off of the 1487th, the Iron Camels out of Piqua here. I had a chance to serve with them, and over the past month that I've been a commissioner, the city commissioners and the mayor that we have stood out in numbers, and we come out to community events, and we're trying to get more involved to show the community that your local board of legislation up here is rallying together to give that support back to the community. I was hoping Natalie was going to be here tonight. I owed her an apology for not making her video shoot. When I found out that I couldn't be there, I sent the chamber an email right away, said, hey, apologize to her for me, because I couldn't make it today, and I told them also in that email that I would apologize tonight, because it was my intent to be out there to support that. One thing also as well, another initiative that I'm taking upon myself inside of the city is looking at job vacancies we have. We talk a lot about industry coming to Piqua, and we want to drive employment up in our town so we become competitive with tax dollars and new industry coming in. Currently, right now, rough numbers is 220 vacant jobs in our town. So I encourage the community once again to get out and push, hey, we got these job vacancies. They're well-paying jobs. Have friends and family come down and apply for these jobs to help close that deal for us. That way we can start driving maybe new business to come here. And for tonight, that's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Great comment. Ma'am?
Thank you. I just wanted to let you know that I too agree that we need to do something about our pool. And I think we're taking the right steps. I think that having a workshop together, or all of us coming together to review the facts, is very important. It is, the bottom line is the money. But I think this community comes together when there's a need. We support one another, and if we have teamwork, we'll get it done. Thank you.
All right. Getting my calendar out because I want to talk about a few things. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Fred Langston on his retirement. A great city worker, worked for a long time. Next, I want to say that I got a thank you card. The city got a thank you card from Mayor Oda from Troy. When they had their tornado hit, police department did a great job, sent some people over there, and she was very grateful. And Gary reached out and spoke to Mr. Titterington, their what's his title exactly?
Public Service.
Public
Safety
Service.
Director.
Public Safety Director. And I reached out and asked her if there's anything else we could do. And she just felt the love. And, we're a community, we're next to them. Yeah, we are competing for industry and whatnot, but in times of need, we're going to be there for them, and they're going to be there for us. So we reached out, and she was very happy. It was a nice It's a nice card. I want to let you know, I am more proud of this commission. They go to events together. I mean, I've been on 2 years, a little over 2 years now, and it was hit and miss, and poor Casey had to do a lot of the stuff by herself. But we are doing this together to represent you. And so Saturday, when we were at the call to duty for the Iron Camels, we were all together again, and this is several times. And I did get to meet the governor. And one of the first things, I didn't know he was going to be there, and I was shocked. One of the first things he said was, "How can I help you? What's going on?" And I gave him an earful about what he could do to help, you know? I'm like, any industry. And then he pointed out the exact same thing Commissioner Thomas said. He said, "Have you gone to Ohio Means Jobs and looked to see how many jobs are available in your area?" I said, "Yeah, I knew there were over 200. I didn't know there were 220, but I knew there were over 200. He said, and I explained to him how Piqua is poised with the fiber and the excess of energy and the new power plant that we've got and the water and wastewater. He's like, looks like you guys are well set, and you know, anything we can do to help. So Mr. Jacqua gave me a great idea to send a card. Thank you, Bill, appreciate that. I will send him a card. I could send him an email, but a card's more personal. I'm going to do that. I appreciate that. But they wanted to help, and it was an honor for me. I got his autograph. I'll be honest with you. I was like a little kid because I'm not used to rubbing elbows or talking to people like that, and it was nice. And it wasn't about me, it was about we, and it was about sending those troops off. And one of the things that I had the pleasure of doing when the troops got to go is I got to shake each and every one of their hands before they went, and I thanked them for their service. And I told them in my little speech is that we love you here in Piqua, and you know, come back. We you know, it's sad to see you go, but we will welcome you back, and we appreciate having you here as a unit. So. And that was great. Congratulations to the team that was successful in the Pittsburgher movie. Casey, you were part of that. Appreciate everything you've done with that. And I want to yell a shout out. Natalie said she couldn't be here. She sent me a couple of emails. She was going to get here. She had some babysitting issues. But she couldn't do it. But if you don't know, she's got a video that they're doing for a hometown HGTV. And I made, Chris and I actually made one of the last pictures for it. So I was just tickled pink that we're going to be in a video. Whether we win or not doesn't matter, but you can use that video to promote the city of Piqua, and it's out there. You know, and I think it's great. But it took one person with an idea to come forward to bring all these people together. And she gets kudos for being that one person to step forward and do what she thought would help the city. And I have much appreciation, much love for that. So anybody that does that is great in my book. I'd like to pat one of the city workers, and we have great workers for the city. The people here don't twiddle their thumbs. They work hard for you, and they work hard for the city, and they represent the city well. Brittany Hazlett she works for Ed Krieger in the Power Systems department, gets an attaboy. And I'll tell you why. I have a guy, I've known him a long time. I went to school with his mom, and he will say things on social media, and he's critical of the city from time to time. But when the city does something right, he also says something great about the city. And he sent me a message saying, "Hey, can you let Brittany Hazlett know that they got a street light out?" I think it was in their alley. And he sent me a picture of it, and he was just happy that the light went out there. He called her up. She talked to him. She helped make it happen. And did you get my email about that today? So I sent Ed Krieger an email saying, give her an attaboy. I CC'd Gary on it. But these are your city workers that work hard for you and love the city and want to help the people at work. And she does a great job. And to her, it's normal course of doing business. But she did a good job, and to me, she gets recognition for it. All right. I do want to see what the commissioners' ideas or thoughts of setting a pool meeting. Are you guys available sometime at the end of this month, in the next couple of weeks, to have a pool meeting? We can invite the city. I know we probably need to set it out a couple weeks at least.
Aren't those like a work session on a Thursday night? 'Cause
Yes, a Thursday night work session, 2 Thursdays from now. What's that looking like for you?
The 20th?
Yeah, if that's, there we go, okay. 20th or 27th, either one.
I can do either.
Either one.
I feel like the only one out because I don't have my cell phone out looking at my calendar, so.
That's the only reason I could do it. No, it's not
I'm
my
down.
actual calendar. All right, let's set it for the 27th. That way it gives us, is 6 o'clock okay? Let's get this started. That way we get enough, we'll get it out. Jay, can you put it on yours? All right. It's February 27th at 6 p.m. so we can get started. And it's not a one-time deal. It's a constant thing until we get the ball rolling and come up with a solution to this. Yes, sir. Would be here, wouldn't it? And we're not going to be up here. We're going to be down there with you guys. So, I mean, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm the same. But we will come up with a solution for this together. I want to save the pool. I love the pool. I think it's a thing for the kids to do. And seeing those pictures of the concrete and stuff, yeah, we got to do something about it. We got to do something about it. So let's plan on doing that. And if everybody's in agreement.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
All right. I have nothing else beyond that. And other than that, I really believe that we have a great city manager as well and support everything that he's doing. And I'm just, business is coming. It's coming. And can we get updates like monthly updates on economic development as possible?
As we can, yes.
As possible. If it's not there, then that's fine. Or if it's something you can't talk about, that's fine. But just to let people know, there are businesses that are settling here and things are happening. So, all right. With that, I'll take a motion. Did you have something else?
Did we skip the one, your report?
Oh, I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, yeah. You just reminded me of something. If you guys go down Main Street and if you drove by Lucky's Bar, have you seen it? Does it not look good? All right, that area is starting to come along. And let's give them kudos for, they sunk a big investment redeveloping that. I'm going to give them kudos as well. I appreciate what they're doing. What were you going to say, Chris? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't know if there was a report, but he said it wasn't.
No, there's nothing at this
Okay,
time.
sorry.
At this point, I need a motion
Motion to adjourn?
adjourn. Second?
Second.
All right. Dismissed. We are adjourned.